This is the plaintiff, Jimmy Gavilanis. He says he pawned his yellow gold-linked necklace at the defendant's pawn establishment, and the loser sold the thing off out from under his nose. He gets a different story every time he speaks with someone, is tired of getting the royal runaround, and is suing for $2,400, the value of the necklace. This is the defendant, Kenneth Kahn. He says the plaintiff made no payments on his property. He sent demands for payment and late notices which were ignored. So he did what he does and sold it. He's sorry, but he doesn't owe the plaintiff a thing. He's accused of poor pawning.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket, the plaintiff says he pawned his gold necklace at the defendant's pawn shop, and the defendant sold it without proper authority. But the defendant says the plaintiff was a slacker on making payments, so tough. It's the case of You Jack My Jewels.
Thank you, Douglas. Okay, Jimmy Gavilanis?
Yes.
You are suing Gem Pawnbrokers, represented here by Kenneth Kahn.
Correct.
All right, for $2,400, the amount you say they owe you for a gold chain that you pawned with them, and they have inappropriately sold out from under you. Tell me what happened.
Yes, it was a Cuban chain, gold chain, handmade.
Drop that in because you got a Cuban judge.
Well,
what do you mean by a Cuban chain?
It's a Cuban gold chain.
It's the link?
It's not the link. It was handmade by Cubans.
Oh.
It was a special purchase.
Made in Cuba?
It was made in Cuba. It was brought here to the States.
Okay. Do you have a picture of it?
No.
Okay.
Okay, what happened was I normally always go pawn it. I've been dealing with these people for 5 years. They're very good at what they do. I never had a problem with them. I was surprised because in the past when I've left the chain and I've been away because I travel a lot, they've sent me letters to the home and telling me, listen, you're past due, you got to pick up your pawn or it could be sold.
But don't you know when it could be sold?
Yeah, they give it like 30 days before they sell it.
Okay, hold on one second. Can I see the paperwork from the pawn?
Sure.
There's like a ticket. Okay. Let me see both.
This is our original copy.
Right. And according to what you agreed to, what are the terms? You're borrowing how much?
$450.
And
they
you
hold
have
it for
to
4 months.
does he have to pay interest payments on those months?
Yes, he does. The loan is good for 4 months. He can either pay the interest at the 4 months or he can extend it.
But that's something he needs to tell you, I want to extend it.
No, all he has to do is show up after
and speak, right? He has to tell you, I want to extend it. All right.
After it's late, we send out late notices. He can come in. He can pay the interest, and we extend it for him an additional 4 months.
Okay, but now, all right. So if he turns it in on November 9th, and this document says the pledge may be sold 4 months from the date of the pawn. So it's 4 months from November 9th.
That's
December,
correct.
January, February, March. So it's March 9th.
That's correct.
Correct? And then what happens on March 9th?
March 9th, actually, we do give the customers extension. New York State requires us to give like a 30-day grace period. We actually go above and beyond that and extend it. Some of these loans are extended out almost to 8 months without a payment, sending out the letters and holding it.
What did you do in this case?
In this particular case, we actually sold the item due to non-payment up in July 18th.
Oh, July?
July 18th.
Okay.
The item was sold.
Did you send him, you say that New York law requires you to extend 30 days. Why don't they just make it all right, well, New York law requires you to extend 30 days.
This is a sample of the late notice that we send out to all of our customers. I also have a receipt from the United States Postal Service with his name and address that's on file that we actually mailed this out on the required date.
I need the one from this case. Do you have something from this case?
No, I don't have Mr. Gavilanis because the system keeps these items for about 6 months. I couldn't go back to his exact
Why does it only keep them for 6 months? You presume that anyone who's going to sue you is going to be prompt? Because they can sue you for 4 years. You should keep it for longer than 6 months. That's a silly thing, particularly in this day and age where everything can be kept on a cloud. It doesn't even actually take up room. I mean, I don't get that.
Right. That's just a sample of the type of late notice we do send out.
Yeah, watch this. Did you get a late notice?
No.
Okay. That's where having a late notice that you sent to him, keeping a copy of it, would come in mighty handy, right?
But I do have a stamped receipt from the Postal Service that we did send the late notices out.
That's good. Let's see that. Who authors this?
That is a printout from our system, and the United States Postal Service stamps it once they receive all of the the mail that goes out on the late notices. They check off the actual names and they stamp it.
They actually check off name by name, or they just?
That's what they do. It takes about 2.5 weeks to get these copies back because they're so busy. It's a timely process, but that's what we have to do.
It was done on March 21st.
That's when the late notice was sent out to Mr. Gallivanus.
And it was sent to?
That's correct.
Is that your address?
And I told him
Was that your address?
No. And I told him that
Was
in the
that
past.
ever your address?
Yes, in the past.
Okay, don't say no.
Oh, okay,
I know
sorry.
you had said earlier that was your address. You said that in your complaint. So that was your address
Yes.
at one point.
At one-
Now, the actual loan document where you signed says
Yes.
that's where you signed.
Yes. and
How are they
that's-
going to know you moved?
I told them that.
Well, it doesn't look like you told them that because that's the address that's here. What
The day
address did
that
you
I
think they were
signed
going
the
to send
paper-
notice to other than the address that's here?
Sure. The day that I signed the paper, I asked the gentleman, that's my old address. And they take the ID, they make a copy of your new ID, your new address. Every
Why
form
didn't you
takes-
just cross out that address and put the right address?
Oh, well, I felt I didn't want to cross a contract paper. I didn't want to do that. But he
And
told me
put the
that's not
correct
needed.
address? You'd rather keep it wrong?
No, but he told me that they could fix
Watch
that.
this. Did that happen?
No, it
Did you
didn't.
talk to the people? Who's the person who actually took in the pawn?
One of our pawnbrokers at our Astoria
I presume
branch.
you've spoken to that person.
Yes, I have.
Okay. And does that person say he gave me a new address and I botched it and I didn't put his new address
No,
in?
he did not, Your Honor.
Okay. So, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? Like, what's the deal here?
When you go give a pledge, when you take one, when you go to pawn.
Let me see your license.
They take an ID, and that
They take an ID, but they take an ID. They don't
They
know
make
if
a
you have
copy
the
of it.
old license. Maybe your license has an old address. See, because they expect you to be giving them the address they need to have on the contract. They don't expect you to give an old address. They might think it's far more likely that your license has an old address that you haven't updated than it is that you're going to stand there and fill out a contract with an old address or let an old address be on a contract. The truth is, you probably didn't notice that. They didn't even sell it until July. What happened between March and July? Why didn't you just show up?
I travel. I'm in Florida.
What do you do for a living?
I host parties. Tourists, like if you get picked up in a limo, you get taken
Right, but
to.
I mean, okay, but did you contact them
Yes,
by
a week
phone?
before the date
Can
was
you
due.
prove that you contacted them by phone? Do you have a phone record?
No, but I could get one. I could request
Well,
one
no,
from my company.
we're here now. This is the
Right.
trial. This is where you're the guy who sued, so you know what
Right.
the issue is.
So is it the plaintiff's fault that the necklace got sold?
Absolutely. If you don't have proper ID for them to contact.
Well, the ID is proper. The thing is that the address was old on the driver's license.
Well, then it's kind of the plaintiff's fault. If they can't contact you in a proper manner, then it's kind of
Tough luck. It seems pretty obvious to me. What do you think?
It's obvious, especially if you want your necklace back, make sure they have the proper
The necklace is that important to you, right?
Right.
Gotcha.
Common sense.
Got it. Going inside the courtroom.
They're saying it's July, Judge. We haven't heard from him. According to you, have no contact with him. He doesn't pay an interest payment in March, doesn't pay an interest payment in April, doesn't pay an interest payment in May, doesn't pay an interest payment in June, correct? You don't pay any interest. And then
4
in
months.
July, you finally sell it after having sent him notices. Why aren't you just like another guy who just didn't get around to it? And so this is the gamble. See, here's a problem. The pawnbrokers do what they do.
Mm-hmm.
If you could get those what did you need the 450 for?
I was going away somewhere else to Atlantic City.
So
I wanted extra cash.
you wanted
in my
the
pocket.
cash to gamble?
Yeah, that was my mistake.
Mijito,
Hiding
well
it.
then, as
Hiding
we
it
say,
from my wife.
toma chocolate, paga lo que debe, as we say in Cuba, okay?
Yeah, but I called them, I notified them, they told me it's okay.
Order up the hot chocolate, pay what you owe, pal. This was a gamble in itself.
They would
you
charge
know,
me
come on,
the 8
come on,
months.
come on. You know the rules. Just follow the rules. Otherwise, you're just another guy who lost
Yeah,
his
but
pawn.
still, I called them, I notified them, they said
Really?
it was okay.
Prove it. Watch
They-
this. Watch this. Did he call you and notify you and ask you for time and try to work something out with you?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so now how are you going to prove that?
How would he know that? He wasn't even there.
How do you prove it? How do you prove
gentleman
your
that was- I thought
position?
the
You're
gentleman
just
was gonna be
another
here.
guy coming around too late to pick up the pawn.
No.
Oh, and by the way, what it says in the back of your ticket, because you need to
Mm-hmm.
read it, aside from reading the address, you got to read on the back where it says, and by the way, if you sue us for anything, the value of your item is double what we loaned you. You can never sue us for, that's $1 million item. No, now you can't.
Can I ask you something?
Can you hear me? Because I was talking still. Oh, thought maybe you couldn't hear me. Thought maybe I was talking in my head or something. And so the most you could sue for anyway would be double the 450. But here's where we are. You sign a contract, right a quarter inch above where you sign has an address that is the address that obviously is on the contract. That's where they're going to send the notice. You don't change it. And then you are an experienced, you're not even like a guy who ran into trouble. You're a guy who wanted extra money for Vegas. You are experienced with them. You know the rules. You got to play by the rules. You don't play by the
why it
rules.
never happened
The
before.
House wins. The House wins. Verdict for the defendant.
Well, the House wins. That means the plaintiff loses in this case. What's your reaction?
It's okay with me. You know, lose one, you win one.
Well, how did your Vegas trip go?
Good.
Yeah, did you win in Vegas?
A little.
Okay.
Atlantic City.
Oh, right. Atlantic City. Sorry. Okay. Come on in here. Pawn shops have such a bad, image, rep.
Oh, well, it's pawnbrokers have been around for 3,000 years, and there's really no. Most pawn shops are owned by privately owned businesses. There's no huge association that kind of governs the image. So you got guys that kind of want to do their own thing, and you got big companies who want to do the right thing, and the ones who doing the wrong thing kind of give the big guys a bad rap.
They've been around since 1000 BC.
A long time. Pawnbrokers were the first form of banking known to man. The modern day banks are a spinoff of pawnbrokers.
What do you think of that, Harvey?
A lot of people, forget about this, but when you do change your address, it's really important on the pieces of ID that you use when you go to stores and whatnot, that you should update the ID. I am not just talking in terms of common sense, we're talking psychologically speaking, right?
Definitely.
Definitely. Bye.